Good afternoon and welcome to the Idea Podcast, Honorable Anne.
Good afternoon to you too. Thank you very much.
We are going to look into a lot of issues here, and basically we'll just start with the person you are, who is Honorable Adeke Anne.
How can I best describe myself? Let me see. Well, I'm Christian. My name is Adeke and Ebaju. I am natively from Soroti district, in a sub-county called Soroti sub-county, a village called Orimai. I went to school. All my school was in Kampala, or in the central part of the country, Kampala, Wakiso. I did my O level in Adeke of Good Counsel. Primary school, I finished primary in Choka Grammar Junior School. Then I went to O level, then A level in Chitende. Then I went to Makerere University to pursue a Bachelor of Laws degree. I finished while I was guild president, as you well know. Then I finished, I went to Law Development Center. I was serving at that time as the Uganda National Students Association speaker. And then after, I went to compete in 2016 successfully. I became the National Female Youth Member of Parliament. And I pursued my master's in the last parliament, Master of Laws. Yeah, so I recently won to represent the district of Soroti as a district woman representative.
That's interesting.
Under the Forum for Democratic Change. So I think I would say I'm a Christian. I've been gifted to be a leader, and I identify with Forum for Democratic Change.
All right. How then did you get introduced to elective politics?
Well, I studied elective politics right from Makerere University, but my passion for politics started when I was about 16 years old. Yes. I remember having grown up in a family that had, many aunties and uncles being politicians. I remember meeting icons when FDC was just starting, as it was the freshest opposition party. Icons like Dr. Kiza Besije, Sam Juba. So it was very exciting. And then while I was at A level, I met a young man who loved politics as much as I love politics. And we shared the same class. Our literature class was the same. It was called Moses Cheyune. So we started to speak about FDC, and he loved FDC. And so fast forward, we found each other at Makerere University. Yeah, and everything else is history.
That's really good. So what motivates you as Honorable? Motivates you as a person? What keeps you driving?
I think I'm just passionate about social justice. I always feel like the need to speak on behalf of people, to represent them, to change their lives, to give them hope, to encourage them, and to do what is reasonable within my means to give them a better life. So I think that passion of social justice, a more just society for all, regardless of your circumstances of birth, a system that can ensure that we all succeed, is really the kind of system I would like for Uganda. So I think all that passion drove me into politics.
So has this journey seen as from transitioning from childhood to adulthood, you have been into politics? Is that fulfilling enough for you?
Yes, I could say so far. Well, with the nature of parliament that we have also, there's always a lot more to be desired. Especially when you get in and come into the knowledge of some realities about how things are done in this country.
True.
Yes. So I could say broadly fulfilling, but of course,
It's challenging.
yes, there's a sense of lack. Yeah. And knowing, this is only as far as I can go.
Do you feel like you can ever have a life outside politics?
Oh, definitely.
What would you do?
Lawyering.
Interesting.
Lawyering, definitely. I'd do lawyering. I think I'd do lawyering and do maybe pro bono or especially with women.
Hmm.
Yes, with women and youth. Yes.
Do you have any gains, or also while you speak of the gains, do you have
So lawyering and then maybe some civil society because I think it would keep my activism
in the
alive.
ally? Yeah, that makes sense. Do you have like gains from your journey into politics as yet? Things you've gained from this journey, things that you'd speak
Yes,
of.
I think that the experiences I've gained are worthwhile
Which ones?
because yes, they've been enriching. The knowledge and information I've gained has improved me as a person. It's sharpened me as a person. I've gained friends, also enemies along the way. So yeah,
Regrets?
they've been.
Do you have regrets with these gains? Are there matching regrets to it, or probably missed
Yes,
opportunities?
I think
Because
the biggest regret I would have is the lack of privacy. Having
also,
joined a public space, a public space in my younger adult life,
yeah,
I didn't have a chance to enjoy my privacy and explore other things about me as a young woman, go out with friends, meet any kind of person without anyone judging you and saying it's for a certain reason. So, yes, the privacy.
interesting.
Yeah, the privacy. Always tabloids are looking for you. There's always someone who wants to blackmail you with information.
How did you handle that?
Well, quite frankly speaking,
You,
I don't think I let out on my own so much to the public. No. If you follow my social media pages, I'm very careful about the things I post, about the pictures I post. Yes. I rarely really post my personal life. I'll tell you one thing. I stopped posting WhatsApp updates totally. So I do many things to keep my privacy, also keep my circle. Also, with time, I have learned to value friendship and also classify friendships and know which friends I should put where and which information should they have access to.
what and seeing as your political career kicked off at an early age, what predictions do you have for it in the next future, let's say the next decade?
Well, one thing for sure, I am so sure, beyond a shadow of doubt, is that I'm going to see a new Uganda. That's for sure. And I'll be a part of creating it. Because, yes, I was blessed to have started my political journey really early. It's a huge blessing that God allowed me to. And I think it's for a reason. And I'm going to be alive and witness firsthand the installation of a new Uganda. Maybe installation is not the right word, but I know that I will be there when a new Uganda is achieved.
And by
A Uganda that provides more equal opportunities. Now, I'm being very optimistic about this. No matter what the tide may read, when I say tide, I mean the political tide. You've seen the recent appointments that have been made by the head of state, and we have slowly and subsequently ended up becoming a military state.
that's true.
So when you see the appointments and how strategically the head of state is trying to place maybe people, maybe his son, maybe it may look like that. But I say again that I am so optimistic that we shall get a much better leadership for this country soon.
Okay. Now, to shift away from the personal to elective politics, there's there's a growing rumor that democracy just not here in Uganda, and also
Rumor that?
democracy just not here in Uganda, but also to the countries we probably could look up, countries that are the superpower countries, the US, the EU, that democracy has failed its side. What's your view on democracy as a whole?
I think that um, democracy can have flaws, It can have flaws. There's no perfect democracy in the world because you cite those superpowers, but there are so many holes that have been punched in their systems of governance, especially the backstage deals that they do. The Trump administration and his links with Russia, influence peddling, all these things. Yes, they're there. However, I think that it's no excuse for us as Ugandans to say, oh, the American democracy is not perfect, so we should not call out ours for being wrong. No, I think that we need to set our own standards. Again, I find it problematic that we continue to compare ourselves with these people that colonized us.
Do you think then we should design our own democracy?
I think that a hybrid approach can be good, because I don't want to say design our own. Yes, we can design our own democracy, but every time we speak about an African kind of democracy, these people who seem to be championing the ideas of African nationalism, then bring in, democracy which they would say is more inclusive and yet excludes many. For example, the idea that we may not need to have elections, we can amicably settle this, is very wrong. It's very wrong. It's necessary for elections to continue to happen and for them to happen by secret ballots.
Yeah.
Yes. So I really don't think that we should say we had an African democracy before colonialism. We should go back, but I think we should have a hybrid approach. Picking lessons globally. Democracy is so old now. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights was since I think 1948. So it should be as old as the existence of mankind.
Do you think we have any gains as the Republic of Uganda? We have gotten along the way, things you can cite out, gains as the Republic has gotten from with its whole governance. Something you can say that
Governance, you mean NRM? Because for me,
that
I like to call things really what they are. I think that comparing the time that NRM has subsisted in power vis-a-vis the achievements, I think we underscore greatly. Yeah, we underscore greatly. However, nonetheless, there are many things that have happened. Of course, with the passage of time, things cannot stay the same because global trends will demand change. Yes, otherwise that leadership will be flushed out. For example, when you speak about women empowerment and women emancipation, these are global things. These are global revolutions that no leader can afford to say no to.
When you speak,
for example, some of them even may be donatized. In order for your government to be a beneficiary from a certain fund, you should meet some requirements. So some of them have been really a global wind sweeping across the whole world that we cannot stop it. But I cannot credit it to just this government. You understand?
Sure.
I can't credit it, whether it was the Idi Amin administration in the 90s, coming to the early 2000s, it would have become compulsory. As long as the government needed to stay in place, it would have become compulsory for inclusion of women in decision making to happen.
What are those gaps you see with our government, and how do you suppose they should be fixed?
Wow, there's so many gaps.
Those are the ones.
Let's start with the corruption.
All right.
It's really the lifeblood of NRM, and I don't think that can be fixed, I'll be honest with you. NRM has lived because of corruption. It exists because of corruption. It is strong, as they say, because of corruption. So, if you ask me how we should deal with that, I think we should remove NRM from power, frankly speaking. But also the collapse of institutions.
Yeah.
I was on a show some time back and I was telling the country that you cannot have constitutionally established offices and then have parallel systems that work there are parallel to them. You can't have Ministry of Lands and all these departments in government and then have the State House lands units. You can have the office of the IGG established in the constitution and then have an IGG serving in State House. You understand? So I think that the collapse of institution and the strengthening of individuals is something really that has negatively affected our country and that we would need to fix at the return of sanity in our country.
All right, we're going to head into the recently concluded election. Yeah, we had January. What's your general view of the election?
The worst ever recorded in our history.
How so? Oh, of course, yeah.
Of course, military capture was ever more so visible. The brutality meted out on civilians is unprecedented. The arrests, the murders, extrajudicial killings, which until today are unaccounted for. The quest for justice in the hearts of many bereaved people, including well-meaning Ugandans like myself, the quest for justice is still there. That thirst is still there. Nothing will quench it. Because lives were lost, families were orphaned, women were widowed, people were maimed and made handicapped, all because of an election. I mean, an election really thrives on free will. So you cannot have free will and the killing of civilians coexist in the same period. It's impossible. So military capture. We saw military capture.
That's right.
We saw the army more than ever getting involved in actual electoral malpractice, gross election malpractice, literally vote rigging. The army was in charge of taking ballots and stuffing them. The army was in charge of beating opposition politicians. The army was literally in charge of all the wrong things that were ever recorded in the last election. So if you ask me, there was no election at all. It was a sham of an election. Because even the electoral body, the electoral commission, tried to ban an election observer from participating. Do you call that an election?
How do you feel at a personal level, an individual level, of how do you feel about participating in this election that you terms always bad?
I think that we lent legitimacy to NRM, but I also think we had only one card to play, or none at all. And we would have lost so much of our people's support, which we need to salvage on in the near future if we hadn't participated in the last election. If we hadn't participated as FDC, still Museveni and his cronies would have created an existing opposition to again lend legitimacy and credibility to his re-election into office. So it leaves a bittersweet taste in the mouth because these elections, so something unprecedented happened in the central part of Uganda, which had for long been a stronghold for the NRM. For the first time, the National Unity Platform registered massive numbers in the central part of the country. So I think that is a gain because you're able to read the population's needs and focus and demands, their feeling, their will, their desire from elections. Yes? So they showed us that the what they desire is something different, something new, something that works for all of them.
That's interesting. Now,
so, like I said, it is a bittersweet taste in the mouth. The bitter one is that we gave him legitimacy. Although even if we hadn't, he would have created an opposition, funded it to come. The sweet taste is that now we know
how we stand.
Now we know where we stand. We know what we need to do. We know where we lost our grip. We know why we need to go back and study those populations and speak with those people and ask, why did they give up? Because there are areas that were voting for change previously and they went back. Actually, sub-region used to vote for change. But subsequently, NRM is registering high percentages there. We must understand, we must question and investigate why has the trend changed. Because they are not richer than they were when they voted opposition. They are not wealthier. So why are they going back to the decisions that they used to make in the past? Because nothing has changed that would make them gain confidence in NRM.
There's also this strong view that there's a lot of disunity and no harmony with the opposition. This also, with this view, since the opposition is not united, brings about, paves the way for the current government to take advantage of that and then regain power because its opposition is not. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I want to say that I think it's a very valid thought that our lack of unity has given way to the NRM continuing. I can only imagine if we were more united, what it would look like. Because I think that the Kenyan model is a good one of coalitions. You know, sometimes you don't need to lose your identity as a party in what? In working with another party. So coalitions provide this. So I would have loved to have a coalition, but built on mutual respect and understanding, which I think many of the opposition political parties have failed to build. That mutual respect in so much that they should not be on the same table and treating each other like adversaries. They should not be on the same table and spying on each other. You understand? They should not be on the same table and accusing each other. You last night you were in State House. You understand? It should not be like that. They should agree to work and say, this is what we want. And that agreement should really be based on salvaging our situations as Ugandans, not their own gain. So that after we have got ourselves rid of this menace, we can now say yes. Can we charter our way to a better Uganda?
This also comes from a general view that politics has been monetized a lot. Yeah.
Extremely.
So this makes it hard for people who could come in and be fair to participate. They need a lot of money, but then there's this monetization of politics and making it just center around money is at the risk of the common Ugandan. That's it being that.
Yeah, you know that the continued monetization of politics has been built because of the patronage system that the NRM is sustained by. You know the way patronage works. So the MPs and all these elected representatives are often put on so much pressure to do exactly what the head of state does. You understand? More than what his job is as the CEO. Yes? Because we've seen instances where the CEO comes to implement. The CEO doesn't recognize existing institutions. He creates his own parallel institutions. The CEO is giving out cash freely.
And pickups. No.
So our people also expect that. But we are all people in this economy and we know the performance of this economy. So if you are putting the stakes that high and selling your votes to the highest bidder, then that highest bidder is going to have to go to parliament and recover that money that he spent. And even more, so that he prepares for the next election because he knows that's how large your appetites are. And so he must feed them so that he will what? Return to serve you. So it's such a vicious cycle. And the thing for me really that stands out there negatively is that we continue to do it. It's too addictive. You understand? We feel the pain.
How do you suppose it should be done? Like, how do you think this whole money thing?
Quite frankly speaking, for you to get money out of politics in Uganda, you have to get NRM out of power. They are not. NRM and patronage are synonymous. NRM and corruption are synonymous. Now, I have already told you that the patronage system of doing things is what has monetized politics. Therefore, you really cannot remove money in the equation of politics until you remove NRM.
I feel you. Totally. Now, this is also when you look at the observer reports for the recently concluded elections, including where
by the way, ACFIM, I think, rated what it costs, the worth of elections in different parts of the country. And in Western Uganda, about 1.5 billion to win an election was needed. In 2021, remember, every subsequent election, people are more desperate.
Yes.
Because people have become poorer. Yeah? Now, COVID-19 has hit people's livelihoods. Government is going to come with something small, but it can never put them back in the position they were. That means most likely, because the experts, the epidemiologists say that COVID is still here for many more years.
Yes.
So imagine what the next election will look like. They'll be more vulnerable.
So, speaking of the reports from all these observers, they termed, it could be corrupted, but they termed the elections free and fair, including where you stood as MP. Because when you look at the media and all this news, there were less violent reports from Soroti and largely to other parts of the country. They were termed as free and fair. How do you then feel? Do you feel like you are legitimately put in power?
Well, the truth is, I know that I didn't trick, so I have the mandate of my people. Therefore, my position was legitimately good. That should be clear. But I don't believe in observer missions. I don't believe in observer missions because they have become just participatory. They just come to register their presence.
Probably accountability.
They no longer are honest. Observer missions like the African Union. The African Union is a body that has not worked for many Africans. It's just a league of despots. Yes? Who are just there to further their own ambitions and achievements as leaders of our countries. But when they come back, when they come back from the AU, they don't even give us what they agree to in the AU. So it is just something that unites us in idea, but never really touching and changing our lives. Also, maybe the principle of sovereignty of countries is something that will limit the actions by the AU. However, let me be honest, I don't believe in observer missions because they have interests. They have interests. And then secondly, the regulator of observers during elections is partisan. It's partisan. If I can suspend an observer and then readmit him at my own will, are you certain that observer is going to release a report contrary to my wish? No. Exactly. So the Electoral Commission has not hidden it that they are very partisan. Right from their appointing to how they carry their business, they are very partisan. So there is no way you can expect the people they accredit to observe elections to give an honest report. I was in Soroti. General Ebaju was in Soroti terrorizing people. I don't think he appears anywhere in their reports.